Ohio. Krasnoyarsk, one of the largest cities of Russia, the largest cultural, education, economic and industrial center of Eastern Siberia. A decree of the President of the Russian Federation of May 20, 2021 to Krasnoyarsk gave the rank City of Labor Valor. Administrative center of Krasnoyarsk Krai. Territorial subject of the Russian Federation, the second for the area. And city district City of Krasnoyarsk. Center of East Siberian Economic Region. Krasnoyarsk unofficial referred to as the capital of Siberia. Founded in 1628, is the largest of the ancient cities of Siberia. At the time of Gold Rush, long time was the large prospering merchant center of Siberia. The most East million-strong city in Russia. The city is located in the middle of Russia, on both coast of Yenisei on a joint of the West Siberian Plain, Central Siberian Plateau and the Sayansk Mountains in the gorge formed by the most northern spurs of East Sian. The population of the city minus 1,092,851. 2021. People. More than 1.5 million inhabitants live in the Krasnoyarsk agglomeration. Large transport and logistics center. Primary branches of economy, non-ferrous metallurgy, hydropower, the space industry and other mechanical engineering, chemical, the woodworking industry, education. The large scientific and educational and sports center of the country, in only one Siberian Federal University studies over 40,000 students. In total in the city more than 150,000 students study. The Krasnoyarsk Scientific Center of the Siberian Office of RAS, the Krasnoyarsk Regional Innovation and Technology Business Incubator, the Krasnoyarsk Academy of Biathlon, the Krasnoyarsk Academy of Winter Sports, the Federal Center of Development of Rugby in Siberia and in the Far East Academy of Rugby Siberia. On the 10th of August, 1978 Krasnoyarsk for the leading contribution to business of formation, protection and development of the country is awarded the Order the October Revolution. On the 17th of December, 2001 Krasnoyarsk is awarded the Order to Peter the Great. On May 20, 2021 the decree of the President of the Russian Federation awarded with an honorary title the City of Labor Valor. Is a member of Association of the Siberian and Far East Cities, the participant. Together with St. Petersburg and Kazan. Council of the World Organization of the Integrated Cities and Local Authorities. Numerous winner of the annual tender, the most well-planned city of Russia. The city is awarded with the diploma of the first international review competition, the best city of the CISIS Pro forming of effective model of social support of the population. Krasnoyarsk, the venue of the 29 World Winter Universiade 2019. Etymology. Under laws of onomastics the name of the settlement should give space orientation. The first names of new settlements became attached to names of the rivers or reservoirs. For example, Yenisei by the name of the Yenisei River, Tomsk by the name of the Tom River, etc. A new jail had to be called the Verkhnisiski jail or the Kachinsky jail. At first in documents the jail was called the New Kachinsky jail. Possibly, earlier on the river Kocha there were already winter quarters, or the place of collecting of a yasuk.
Nikolai Latkin wrote that in 1608 in the valley of the river of Kacha there was already a jail constructed by natives of the Ket jail. Gerhard Miller in The History of Siberia uses the names New Kachinsky Jail and New Kachinsky Red Jail.
From the middle of the 17th century the name Red Yar already begins to be used. Red Yar, from the name of the place of its construction, Heisel of Charms, that in language of Kashinets meant Yar. The high coast or the hill, the rock. Red collar. In Russian, red meant also beautiful in those days. The place to in Yugoza is high and red.
Monarchic to construct a jail on the place Machno, Andriy Dubensky wrote in the letter to the Tsar.
The name Krasnoyarsk was given when obtaining the status of the city. The natural boundary Krasnoyarsk, very convenient location for accommodation. The person developed the territory of the city from an extreme antiquity.
Settlements of ancient people in the territory of the present city were found for a long time in the 19th century and were carried to era of the Top Paleo.
About 35,000 years ago. There are data on more ancient parking in the territory of future city. In the first centuries of our era ancestors of the Ketolingual people Hassan, Kats, Kalmazi, completely disappeared by the beginning of the 18th century came here. As later to Entre Rios of Yenisei and Kacha there lived such people as Aranets and Kashinets. Their settlement was called Kaiseljärtura, that is, the city of the Red Coast. Before receipt of Russians the territory of modern Krasnoyarsk was included into the Izyrsky Principality of the Yenisei Kyrgyz. The mountain Komtaiji was probably the sacred place of Kashinets. In the summer of 1927 the expedition of the Museum of the Pryanisky region under the leadership of the Siberian archaeologist S.A. Teplakok found on the Guard Mountain where Pereskiva Pietnitsa Chapel, rich burial of the 13th, 14th centuries nowadays is located.
The richness of the objects found in the burial ground can demonstrate that members of a noble princely family who probably and ruled this territory were buried in the mountain.
The area on which Krasnoyarsk was constructed subsequently became known to Russians in 1608. This year Cossacks from the Ket jail, under leadership Yenisei Ostyatskik princelings Ernik and Namak, went up Yenisei, with intention to find Novaya Zemlitsa, and then to attach them to ownerships of the Moscow Tsar. Floating up Yenisei, Cossacks met the earth which was owned by the Orinsky princeling Tyolka, and called it Tyolkinskoye Zemlitsa. This name kept before creation of the Krasnoyarsk jail and leaving of Aranets. Arentsa, supported not only by Kashinets, but also the Yenisei Kyrgyz, long time was not agreed to pay Yusuk to Russians and took all measures to removal of the last from the place taken by them. With this purpose they almost continuously disturbed them attacks which, eventually, became so dangerous that Cossacks decided to appeal to the Yenisei voivode about the help and protection. There are all bases to refer accession of Russians in this territory to earlier period than now it is considered to be.
Also there is an opinion that Krasnoyarsk was based not in 1628 and approximately on quarter of the century on this officially recognized date.
If it was called the Novokachinsky jail, so was also Starokachinsky or just Kachinsky. The expected location of a jail, Bugok's confluence with Kacha. Confirm it with perhaps archaeological excavations. The personal seal of Ivan IV Grozny was the first coat of arms and a seal of the city. The Yenisei Voivode Yakov Fripanov, having at the order, for different instructions and parcels to distant lands, the nobleman Andrei Dubensky, whom he brought with himself from Moscow in 1623, sent it to examine the earth occupied by Cossacks and, having found on it the convenient location, disposed to construct a jail for protection against attacks of local tribes. Dubensky found the convenient location for construction of a jail, made the plan and with it for its viewing, and a statement went to Moscow. The provided plan in Moscow was approved and permitted to start construction of a jail. His sovereign Mikhail Fyodorovich made the decision on construction of a jail in the Tyolkany Zemlitsa, in the place of confluence of the river of Kaicha with the Yenisei River. The Tsar assigned an important and responsible task to the son Signorial Andrei Dubensky, the subordinated Tobolsk voivode, who instructed Dubensky corresponding. It begins so. 1627. June 1. An order of the Tobolsk voivodes of the Prince Andrei Khovansky with companions to Andrei Dubensky sent for the structure of a jail on Red Jara. Summer on June 7130 fit in one day, on a monarchic Tereyova and the Grand Duke Mikhail Fyodorovich of Avisa of Russia to the decree, voivodes Prince Andrei Andreevich Khovanskoy, Ivan Vasilievich Volenskoy, yes clerks Ivan Fyodorov, Stepan Agotsko ordered to Andrei Onufrievich Dubensky of an Ikota on monarchic service in the Kachinsky Zemlitsa, in top after Yenisei to the river, on the Red Yar for this purpose. The sovereign the Tsar and Grand Duke Mikhail Fyodorovich of Avisa of Russia specified Jara in the Kachinsky Zemlitsa, up Yenisei to the river, on Red, again to deliver a jail, and for that careful Stavelny it is told to send his Andrei Dubensky, and with it with Andrei Slushily people were specified by the sovereign of a Pribrata again in Tobolsk and in other Siberian Gorodek, Atamans and Cossacks. Both the monarchic monetary and grain salary ordered to make it salaries, and David the monarchic monetary and grain salary for 2 years, and having given a monetary and grain salary, to it to Andrei with those Slushily people with a Dresty jail, and from Yenisei to a jail ordered to go to the Kachinsky Zemlitsa in Yenisei, and on Red on the Yenisei River a jail to deliver Jara, both to dig out ditches, and to do posts and everyone's to strengthen Kripost, and to give new Zemlitsa of people under an imperial high hand caress and it to speak that they to the great sovereign to the Tsar and Grand Duke Mikhail Fyodorovich of Avisa of Russia served in Priamit, and Yasak from those Zemlitsa of an Emota as told as well be neast at them not to harden, and an arable land to bring. And the waking to volume Red Jara on whom the place to deliver a jail, people lay down some Zemlitsa, and under an imperial high hand of those Zemlitsa people to be do not pocket it also a Yasaka from themselves will not begin to give, and those will be new instruments Slushily people of those of new Zemlitsa under monarchic high hand to bring them Agna.
And will be people approached volume Red Jar many Zemlitsa, and under a monarchic high hand to be do not pocket it and on Red will not allow to deliver Jar to a jail, and to Andrei Dubensky with new instruments Slushily people of those Zemlitsa under a monarchic high hand to bring and Red without additional Slushily people to deliver Jar to a jail on volume Magmachna.
And he is told to Andrei about everything to write to Tobolsk, and to Andrei for that from the cities of the heads, and with them Slushily people are told to be sent to an increase.
And Odnolijno on volume Red a jail to deliver Jara and to bring those Zemlitsa of people under a monarchic high hand into direct servility and Yasak from them to a mat.
Eldone monarchic Turyova and the Grand Duke Mikhail Fyodorovich of Avisa v Russia to the decree for that new careful building it is tidied up into Tobolsk and in other Siberian Gorodek 3 persons of Atamans, 300 people of Cossacks, and a monetary salaries are made by it. The Ataman on 30 rubles, the foreman on 5 rubles with hafus, the ordinary Cossack on 5 rubles to the person, and a grain salary. The Ataman on 10 quarters of flour, on 4 quarters of grain and oat flour, the Pentecostal and the foreman and the ordinary Cossack on 5 quarters of flour yes of grain and oat flour on a quarter to the person. And the monarchic at a grain and monetary salary davano for the 2nd years.
June from the 1st present the 135th to year till June on the 1st of the 137th to year on their salary wholly.
And to whom a name slushily to be people with Andriy Debenska on a Gosudariva to service on Red Jar are told to be, and to it is given in their list for Daichi the signature. And a dress to repair with Andriy for Thai services it is sent from Tobolsk.
And to Andriy Onofrievich Debenska with slushily people of Aneta on monarchic service in the Kachinsky Zumlitsa for a new Ostroznovo of a stavelny and Ket the river on Yenisei a jail with a great pospeshany day and night, without delaying anywhere out.
Upon return from Moscow Debensky, having taken with itself 300 Cossacks, at the end of 1627 went from Yeniseisk for laying of a new jail. 19 on August 29. 1628 Russians constructed a small jail and is called Red Ardent, on red collar of the mile-making thickness of the left high bank of the river of Kocha below Krasnoyarsk, opposite to Tatashev of the island. This day is considered day of foundation of Krasnoyarsk. In 1631 the territory around Krasnoyarsk, or as it was called in the first years, Novokachinsky. A jail was transformed to the county, and the Krasnoyarsk jail became the center of the county.
The voivode sent from Moscow to whom through Cossack the head and atamans of horse and pedestrian Cossacks the Cossack army submitted operated the county. Originally defense from the south of the main Russian settlements of Siberia was the most important function of a jail. The Yenisei Kyrgyz and the tribes subordinated to them repeatedly attacked the Krasnoyarsk jail and settlements close to it.
The attacks made in 1630, 1634, 1635, 1636, 1640, 1665, 1667 and 1679 were the most ruinous. In 1659 the big Krasnoyarsk jail was built. Construction of a new jail, almost at once the collecting of a Yosik which became the center, caused discontent of the local population consisting generally of tributaries, Kistim, of the Yenisei Kyrgyz which governors, in turn, were vassals of the state Altanhanov. Northwest Mongolia.
In 1667 and 1679 the jail was twice besieged by a strong army of the Kyrgyz commander of Iron Akhana. In 1673 Krasnoyarsk under the name Krasnogor is for the first time mentioned in the Western European literature in the description of Siberia of the German author Albrecht Düben.
In 1690 the Krasnoyarsk jail received the status of the city. The growing social inequality of the population and growth of voivodsky abuses led to the national indignation of 1695-1700 known as the Krasnoyarsk Shitost. Slushly people and their families long time remained the main residents of Krasnoyarsk. In 1671 from 242 yards belonged to Cossacks 227, and in 1713, 292 yards from 317. In 1708 the population of the city made 849 people, and in 1713 1295 men and 1217 women lived in it.
In 1722 Philip Johann Tabert Strahlenberg and Daniel Gottlieb Messerschmitt for the first time defined an exact geographical location of the city by astronomical observations.
In 1733-1734 in Krasnoyarsk there lived Vitus bearing cooking provisions and equipment for the expedition.
Gradual growth of Krasnoyarsk began with receipt to the city in 1735 of the Siberian Path,
now the Federal Highway P, Siberia, which connected Krasnoyarsk with Achinsk, Kansk and other parts of the country. However, in 1772 the population of the city made only about 2,000 inhabitants, and Krasnoyarsk remained a small district city. In 1734-1743 in Krasnoyarsk the German scientist and the traveler Johann Georg Gmelin, who left the interesting description of life and customs of locals, lived and worked. We hurried at even in the afternoon to arrive to the city, and through the villages of Berezovka and Lodeka in the evening about 5 hours happily arrived in Krasnoyarsk. Soldiers live here very well and mostly prosperously, the academician about the city and its inhabitants so wrote. Then the Musk Deer was described, Biryuzinsky and Oviansky caves are investigated. In 1756 near Krasnoyarsk the ironworks plant of the merchant N. Vlasyevsky was founded. In 1759 in the city the school was opened for training of children of clergy at Latin.
In 1771-1773 Krasnoyarsk visited 3 times and in total the famous Russian erudite academician Peter Simon Pallas, who found a 680 kg fragment of a meteorite called later Pallasovy iron at Krasnoyarsk, spent in it the whole year. He wrote to Pallas 2 of 3 books of the work Travel Across Siberia, in which included a detailed natural and economic sketch of a condition of the city and county.
In 1772 the meteorite was sent to St. Petersburg.
After the storm fire of 1773, which left only 30 houses in Krasnoyarsk, from Tobolsk the sergeant of geodesy Pyat Moiseev, who made new linear planning of the street.
Petersburg type for the city was sent. It became the beginning of modern Krasnoyarsk. In 1784 in the city the Russia's first district public library was open. Alexander Radishev, being in Krasnoyarsk journey in 1791, returning from exile, wrote, "In the right side the stone ridge which the sharp and naked ends are visible in other places opens. In the left side of the coast mountainous, at last, to Krasnoyarsk Bezlesist and the Krasnost show rich iron ore. The Yenisei flows between mountains, leaving in hollows to it adjacent places rich. Krasnoyarsk has provision as some cities in the Alps. The right coast lengthways goes as high, also mountains and even. The left coast is high, but its surface is equal. In 1805 on the Guard Mountain, in memory of the Cossack Wator standing here, the wooden chapel was constructed. In 1819 in the city the district school with a full course of elementary education was open. Since 1822 Krasnoyarsk became the center of educated then Yenisei province. In 1828 one of the Siberia's first literary and art magazines, Yeniseiski Almanac, was published in Krasnoyarsk. In 1833 near Krasnoyarsk the Znamensk glass plant was founded. In 1853 at the plant the Fayensk factory, which was releasing dishes, plates, bowls, cups, wash basins, suznitsa and other necessary objects in life, was constructed. In 1834 in the city the gardens, nowadays Central Park, were based. In 1845 at Novobozornaya Square laying of the Cathedral of the Nativity of the Theotokos, largest in Siberia, on the project of the architect Konstantin Tun, took place. Cathedral of the Nativity of the Theotokos. In 1846 the public library existing to this day was open. In 1855 on the Guard Mountain instead of a wooden chapel stone was built. In 1858 in the city the first earthquake was noted. At the time of the Russian Empire the city was one of places of political exile. 8 Decembrists were banished to Krasnoyarsk after suppression of a revolt of 1825. From December 1860 to March 1864 the organizer of the street Petersburg Revolutionary Circle of Petrashevists M5. Vutashev Petrashevsky lived and worked here. In 1863 the steamship movement on Yenisei was open. Then in the city there began work the cable station. In 1889 in Krasnoyarsk the city public museum was open, the Siberia's first medical assistant school was open. In 1890 the Department of Imperial Moscow Society of Agriculture was solemnly opened here. Anton Chekhov, about Siberia, in 1890 wrote in Traveling Sketches. If a landscape on the way for you not the last business, then, Adik from Russia to Siberia, you are bored stiff from the Urals to Yenisei. The nature which foreigners idolize, respect are fluent and which will serve as an exhaustible gold mine for the Siberian poets over time, the nature original, stately and fine begins only with Yenisei. On this coast Krasnoyarsk, the best and beautiful of all Siberian cities, and on volume the mountains which reminded to me of the Caucasus same smoky, pensive. In 1891 in Krasnoyarsk the successor of the Russian throne, later the Emperor Nicholas II stopped. Then in the city and shop of the merchant Gadilov electric lighting for the first time appeared. In 1892 in Krasnoyarsk the first telephone exchange earned. In 1894 in the city the Siberia's first technical railway school was open.
Further growth of the city was connected with opening of the gold-bearing mines in the province and receipt of the railroad in 1895.
Delivery of rails for construction of the Trans-Siberian Railway was performed by the Northern Sea Route.
After the conclusion in 1893 the Russian government of the trade agreement with Great Britain Scotland left a joint Russian-English caravan under command of the English Captain Wiggins.
The caravan loaded with railway rails overcame the Arctic Ocean, the Kara Sea and safely reached the mouth of Yenisei. From the settlement of Golchik rails were transported across Yenisei to Krasnoyarsk. This expedition of the first laid a northern way from Europe to Siberia. In 1895-1896 construction of the main railway workshops was performed. In 1895-1896 in the city the Minister of Railways of the Russian Empire Prince M. 1. Hilkov repeatedly stopped and worked in honor of what in the city the commemorative plaque is established. In December 1905 in the city there was the Krasnoyarsk Republic. In 1912 the 450 dew water power plant gave current. In 1913 in Krasnoyarsk the first city water supply system was constructed. The same year in Krasnoyarsk the famous Norwegian polar researcher Fridtjof Nansen stopped. In the book To the Country of the Future, later he remembered. So we reached Krasnoyarsk, the goal for which so long strove.
We visited the city park, which has a reputation for the best in all Siberia.
Streets in the city wide and direct, on the main street stone houses, but the most part of constructions from A3. Krasnoyarsk is beautifully located on the left coast of Yenisei, in the valley surrounded with mountains. In 1920 in Krasnoyarsk the creator of female battalion, the first in the history of the Russian army, Maria Bokaryeva was shot. In 1920, 23 years Krasnoyarsk was the center of the East Siberian Military District. In 1932 in the city bus, in 1935 the steam tram was started. In the Soviet years Krasnoyarsk became one of the largest cities of Siberia and Rusfars. In 1928 in the city the airfield appeared. In 1934 Krasnoyarsk becomes the administrative center of Krasnoyarsk Krai. During the Great Patriotic War to the city the set of the plants was evacuated from the European Russia. On August 31, 1951 Krasnoyarsk was carried by the decision of the government of Rusfars to cities of Republican subordination, but on June 3, 1958 again became the city of regional subordination. In 1952 the building of the river station was built. In 1958 the tram on electric draft, in 1959 the trolleybuses started up.
After the collapse of the USSR the city experienced some depopulation, but at the end of the 20th century began to grow again.
In 1995 the construction of the Krasnoyarsk subway is begun. In 2006 in the city the first of the Russian Federal Universities, Siberian Federal University, was organized. Till 2010 Krasnoyarsk had the status of the historical settlement, however the city of this status was deprived by the order of the Ministry of Culture of the Russian Federation of July 29, 2010 N 418/339. On the 10th of April, 2012 Krasnoyarsk became the Russia's 14th million-strong city. In November 2013 the city was defined by the venue of the 29 World Winter Universiade-2019. On the 29th of October 2015 it is solemnly opened Nikolaevsky Bridge. On the 26th of December 2017 the new passenger air terminal of the airport Krasnoyarsk is put into operation. From March 2 to March 12, 2019 in the city there took place the 29 World Winter Universiade-2019.
From December 24 to December 29, 2019 in Krasnoyarsk the Figure Skating Championship of Russia 2020 was held.
At the coat of arms of Krasnoyarsk, to which in 2011 160 years, the richest heraldic history from all cities of Siberia were performed. At the level of the Russian cities the coat of arms of Krasnoyarsk can compete only to the coat of arms of Smolensk. However, Smolensk has very rich history which is reflected in the coat of arms. But at the Krasnoyarsk coat of arms heraldic history is richer than at the coat of arms of Moscow, heraldic officers note. The complete coat of arms of Krasnoyarsk was included in the state heraldic register at No. 62-63 in 2010. On the coat of arms the right-hand lion is represented, we see it sent to the left side, and at heraldic officers it is called right hand. Right side the most honorable, significant. If to develop a lion in the opposite direction, then he will become running away, coward. The most remarkable detail of a municipal coat of arms, a unicorn. On the complete version Shittida's Hatel of the coat of arms, a unicorn and a horse. The unicorn is considered the most significant symbol of heraldry. Besides, this animal was represented on a seal of the Krasnoyarsk jail. On the coat of arms and a flag of Krasnoyarsk the lion is represented, it is a symbol of Krasnoyarsk. In paws at a lion a spade. Shovel. A symbol of large gold mining, and a sickle. At the time of receiving this symbol by Krasnoyarsk the region was one of the largest granaries of Russia. The present coat of arms was accepted on November 28, 2004. It included slightly changed coat of arms of 1851 and a five-pointed crown of the capital of a federal subject. In 2004 new regulations on a flag in which, among other, the description of the coat of arms represented on a flag changed were accepted. Anthem of Krasnoyarsk. It is approved by the decision of the Krasnoyarsk City Council No. V-18 of May 29, 2008.
In 2010 the symphonic orchestra under control of Mark Codden and To You We Sing Ensemble took part in record of the new version of the anthem.
Anatoly Tretiakov's words, composer Oleg Prostatov. Krasnoyarsk, the largest cultural and economic center of the central and eastern Siberia, the administrative center of Krasnoyarsk Krai. The region of Russia, the second for the area. His city is located on both coasts of Yenisei on a joint of the West Siberian Plain, Central Siberian Plateau and the Sayansk Mountains, in the hollow formed by the most northern spurs of East Sayan. Height above sea level -287 meters. Is the largest city of eastern Siberia and the Far East. Yenisei, on which there is Krasnoyarsk, divides Siberia into western and east. Also the city is approximately halved. Also the line of Krasnoyarsk included the last Sayansk Ridge. Economically, geographers carry Krasnoyarsk to eastern Siberia. The city is the center of East Siberian Economic Region. Krasnoyarsk is one of the most compact million-plus cities of Russia. From the west on the east the extent of the city is along the shortest route along streets. About 41 kilometers, from the north on the south, nearly 37 kilometers. About 670,000 inhabitants live in a left bank part of Krasnoyarsk. In soils of Krasnoyarsk, as well as in its satellite towns Zheleznogorsk, Divnogorsk and Sosnovovorsk, completely there is no permafrost, including island character that creates favorable conditions for construction including underground. City relief hilly. Around the mountain, National Park the Krasnoyarsk Columns, a part of the central and railway districts are in the lowland, the campus is located on the Sayansk Ridge, the Soviet and October areas on the hilly height. Right bank areas. The Sverdlovsk district was located on border of Stolby Nature Sanctuary in East Science foothills.
The most part of the Kirov and Lenin districts is in the lowland lying between the riverbed of Yenisei from north side and hills from southern, among most of which the Black Hill.
Karatak. Well noticeable, located in several kilometers from city border from many districts of the city is known. Time zone. Krasnoyarsk is in hour zone at +4.
Shift of the applied time concerning youths is +700. According to the applied time and geographical longitude, average solar midday in Krasnoyarsk comes at 12:49.
Climate of Krasnoyarsk continental on Alisev's classification. D-def on Kopina. It is mitigated with the big water masses. The Krasnoyarsk Reservoir. Yenisei and surrounding mountains non-freezing in the winter. The winter is low snow, with frequent thaw. With the first on Yenisei there began meteorological observations the Decemberist M.F. Mitskov, who arrived in Krasnoyarsk in 1836. It within 10 years conducted daily observations. Average annual temperature +1.6 C. Absolute minimum of air temperature 52.8 C. 1931. Absolute maximum of air temperature +40.1 C. 1901. Average annual speed of wind 2.3 m/s.
Average annual humidity of air
69%. Flora. The city is in a zone of the forest steppe and in the hilly terrain. A pine, a cedar, a larch, a birch, and aspen prevail.
Ecological state.
As well as all large cities of the world, Krasnoyarsk is subject to negative impact on an ecological situation. Its deterioration is promoted by the fact that the city is the largest transport hub of eastern Siberia. Availability of a number of large enterprises of metallurgical, mechanical and chemical industry aggravates a situation.
A considerable share in the total amount of gross emissions and the high level of pollution of atmospheric air is brought by the motor transport, which number annually grows.
The main substances creating very high or just high levels of atmospheric pollution are provided bans. A. Bipyrene, formaldehyde, a hydrochloride, suspended substances, dioxide of nitrogen. In terms of aerosol pollution, concentration of the most harmful weight particles of 2.5 microns in size. PM. In Krasnoyarsk is 64% higher than on average in Russia. According to the last researches, average long-term concentration of PM in Krasnoyarsk makes 23 m/m. And in certain areas can reach 13/m. These indicators exceed the maximum values according to the recommendations of World Health Organization. The peak of concentration of PM is the share of the end of winter, February, and the middle of summer, July. Summer peaks are observed because of impact of wildfires, which can cause short-term, abnormally high values of concentration PM in the atmosphere over Krasnoyarsk. Greater than 150 m/m. The list of the enterprises providing the highest rates of air pollution is headed by just Krasnoyarsk Aluminum Smelter, NL's Krasnoyarsk Cement, the Krasnoyarsk Jet -1, TETS -2, large and small heating coal boiler houses. Besides, during a summer season Krasnoyarsk is to some extent subject to influence of wildfires from which territory towards the city aerosol particles, soot, are transferred. In 2016 the number of days with adverse weather conditions in Krasnoyarsk was 58 days. In 2017 Krasnoyarsk lived in similar conditions 43 days. In 2018 the new modes were entered more than 30 times. For January 1, 2021 on population the city was in the 12th place from 1116 cities of the Russian Federation. At the time of the USA the fast birth of the million resident was supposed. Officially in post-Soviet time in the city there was a decrease in population.
From the maximum number of 925,000 inhabitants in 1992 up to 876,000 in 2001.
The closed cities. At the time Krasnoyarsk -26 and Krasnoyarsk -45, and nowadays Zheleznogorsk and Zelenogorsk respectively. Till this time a number entering Krasnoyarsk became independent units.
At the beginning of the 21st century the population of the city began to grow again.
Up to 927,000 in 2007 and above. Rates of depopulation decreased, inflow of migrants increased. Local authorities developed the Million Program including the accelerated construction of facilities of housing and infrastructure. On April 10, 2012 the current statistical recording registered the million resident.
For 2033 for Krasnoyarsk 3 options of population are predicted. Maximum -1,378,000, basic -1,300,000 and minimum -1,289,000 people.
A course towards new industrialization of Siberia proclaimed in the second half of the 1950th in many respects was continuation by the policy interrupted with war pursued by the state in the east in 1920, the 1938 years.
But even against the background of the first 5 years periods the considerable migration gained to the Siberian cities nevertheless was given by the begun war. The factor of external migration in the early 40s was key for the Siberian cities. War considerably strengthened the demographic pressure upon the large cities at the expense of continuously arriving evacuant.
The circumstance which is well illustrated on the example of Krasnoyarsk which eminences primus inter pares. The first among equal. Latin. Among the cities of eastern Siberia took place in many respects thanks to war. From 1930th in Krasnoyarsk, as well as in some other the Siberian cities, large industrial construction was developed. In 1934 on a right bank of the city the machine building plant. Krasmash. Summer of 1935, shipbuilding is mortgaged, and in a year began to build support of future pulp and paper mill. Up to 1941 Krasnoyarsk annually grew on 2,000 people. The begun war sharply changed rates of a gain. Only from 1940 to 1943 the regional center in addition accepted nearly 100,000 people. In the first half of war inflow of new urban population was the most significant in Massachusetts. Statistically, by January 1, 1946 the population of Krasnoyarsk made 240.6 thousand people, thereby, the general increase in population for years of war was 60%.
The end of war changed an overall picture a little. A considerable part of the evacuated objects remained in Siberia.
Of course, there was a population revocation on the west, but a counterflow also. The demobilized participants of the Great Patriotic War came back. More than 80,000 veterans returned to the same Krasnoyarsk, for example, by 1948. National structure, by results of the All-Russian census of 2010. Russians of 861,855 91, 96%. Ukrainians of 9610 2%. Tatars of 9466 1%. Azerbaijanians of 7039 75%. Armenians of 6714 72%. Kyrgyz of 6274 67%. Tajiks of 4310 46%. Uzbeks of 4266 45%. Germans of 41010 44%. Belarusians of 3325 35%. Other nationalities of 202242 16%.
In total specified nationality 937,184 100%. All population of the city district Krasnoyarsk 974,591.
The structure of city self-government is made. The mayor, city council minus 36 deputies, city administration, executive body of city self-government, control audit chamber, control body of city self-government. The chairman of city council, Natalia Vyaslavovna Fryulina. City's mayors. In 1991-1996 Valery Pozdnyakov was the head of Krasnoyarsk.
From 1996 to 2011 the mayor was Pyotr Kamashkov. After election and deputies of the State Duma of Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation on December 12, 2011 filed a resignation at own will. From 2012 to 2017 the mayor was Edgar Makpalatov, temporarily the acting as the mayor since December 15, 2011.
Eryamin Sergei Vasilievich, elected the mayor on October 24, 2017, became his successor. Krasnoyarsk is administratively divided into 7 areas. The area the population is formed. Railway 94946 on November 29, 1979. It is allocated from Oktyarsky district. Turovsky 116,575 is created in 1934. Lenin 150,124 it is created on August 28, 1942. It is allocated from Kirovsky district.
October 180,651 Koganovichesky district is created on June 25, 1938 under the name.
It is renamed in 1957. Sverdlovsk, it is created on March 23, 1977. It is allocated from Kirovsky district. Soviet, it is created on May 29, 1969. It is allocated from the Central District.
Central, the Stalin area is created on June 25, 1938 under the name.
It is renamed on November 5, 1961. The districts of Krasnoyarsk were subdivided into historically developed residential districts. At the request of the mayor Edgar Makbalat of the working group for consideration of a possibility of merge of the central and railway districts and also separation of Savetsky district was created. Refused this offer in view of its inexpediency later.
In 2019, the question of separation of Savetsky district of the city was brought up again.
The city of Krasnoyarsk is a part of the city district, the village de Gerbel. At the administrative level it is subordinated to Savetsky district. In 2007, in regional and city administrations, consideration of a question on consolidation to the municipal unit, Big Krasnoyarsk, of all its agglomeration, Krasnoyarsk, the satellite towns of Divnogorsk, Sosnovovorsk, Berezovka and nearby settlements, the urban-type settlement of Yemelyanova began. Settlements of Trokino, Alidat Vorogovo, Lagovi, Karavago, Ovianki, Solinci, Molodyaznogo, Mansky, Minino, Psychovos stations. Villages of Muskino, Pugachevo, Minino, Ustmana. In 2008 were suggested that thanks to consolidation and the accelerated development, Big Krasnoyarsk could have in 2020 population about 1.5 million people.
The federal center supports this initiative and included Big Krasnoyarsk in the program of creation developed by the Ministry of Regional Development and the Ministry of Economic Development in Russia of 14 so-called basic Russian million-strong cities.
Also, being the Russian Prime Minister 5v. Putin suggested to provide the program of development of Eastern Siberia. In the rating of the most comfortable cities of the country, Krasnoyarsk for accommodation takes the 12th place. According to the Forbes magazine, Krasnoyarsk was included into the 20 of the most prospective cities of Russia as the city, convenient for life and business.
In 2012, according to the rating of quality of the urban environment made by the Ministry of Regional Development of the Russian Federation, the Russian Union of Engineers, Federal Construction and Housing and Communal Services Agency, Federal Service for the Oversight of Consumer Protection and Welfare, and also Lomonosov Moscow State University, Krasnoyarsk took the 9th place.
Now the Moscow Giprigar and the Street Petersburg Institute of Urbanistics developed the new master plan of the city and its transport component. Economy. Krasnoyarsk, the developed center of the industry of Russia. In the territory of Krasnoyarsk, more than 17,000 enterprises, the organizations are located. Leading industries. Space industry, non-ferrous metallurgy, mechanical engineering, woodworking, transport, chemical, food, retail and wholesale trade services.
In Krasnoyarsk there is a representative office in Siberian Federal District of Federal State Unitary Enterprise Rostequantrization, Federal MIBT.
On the 7th of April, 1939, the Central Committee of the All-Union Communist Party, Bolsheviks, and Council of People's Commissars of the USSR adopted the resolution on construction of refinery in Krasnoyarsk. In 1942, the Sibiazmash plant released the first engine of the Sergo Ordzhonikidze series. On the 23rd of March, 1943, at the Krasnoyarsk plant of non-ferrous metals from the Norilsk slimes platinum and palladium were refined.
In 1945 at the plant, now the world's largest enterprise where the refining of all metals of platinum group is commercially made and also gold and silver, large-scale production of precious metals began.
In 1946 the first ingots of platinum, in 1947 palladium in ingots were received. In 1954 the Krasnoyarsk television plant, since 1958 releasing lamp TZ of the Yenisei brand, and since 1964 lamp and semiconductor TZ of the Don brand.
An integrated and semiconductor option were made till 1991.
Was founded.
During the reorganization era, on the basis of the television plant joint stock company, the Krasnoyarsk Sichi Iskra, which is engaged in designing the equipment for satellite communication, was created.
In April 1959 at the Krasnoyarsk plant of medications the first consignment of the Krasnoyarsk penicillin was released.
As a result of the deindustrialization which happened after disintegration of the Soviet Union in Krasnoyarsk, the Sibelectrostal plants, Sibiazmash,
the Siberian plant of heavy mechanical engineering, Krasnoyarsk, the Kombainovy plant, shipbuilding plant, chemical steel works, the plant of TZ, the plant of the photosensitive materials, quantum, chemical plant, the plant of rubber products, silk plant, the plant of automobile trailers, the margarine plant, meat processing plant, Zub, Baltic Pikra brewery, factory of a piano, factory of souvenirs, and some other stopped the existence. The Krasnoyarsk Rolls was destroyed. The Krasnoyarsk film studio was closed.
The amount of shipped goods of own production, the performed works and services with own forces on types of activity of the processing productions in 2007, 130 billion rubles.
Including make. Metallurgical production -48%. Production of machines and the equipment, electric equipment, electronic and optical equipment, vehicles and the equipment -20%. Production of foodstuff, including drinks, and tobacco -11%. In the city, one of the waste recycling plants, largest in Russia, calculated for processing of 10,000 tons of garbage a day, is constructed. There are also waste sorting complexes. Fuel and energy complex of the city includes large combined heat and power plants. CHEP -1. It is led in 1943. CHEP -2, TETS -3, TETS -4. All of them, except for CHEP -3, are located in a right bank part of the city. CHEP -4 in the city of Sosnovovorsk of the Krasnoyarsk agglomeration. The CHEP -1 is located in a southeast part of the city, provides with heat. Lenin, Kirov, a part of the Sverdlovsk district, the settlement of Berezovka. CHEP -2 central, parts of railway and October areas. CHEP -3 Savetsky district. In addition to combined heat and power plant, thermal energy is developed by district boiler houses. In a little remote prospect, gasification of the city is planned. Trade. According to experts of the Infoanalytika agency, Krasnoyarsk is in the second place in Russia on saturation supermarkets. In the city, such large networks as Tape OK, Magnet, Traffic Light, Pitaraka, KFC, Subway, Cinnabon, McDonald's, Burger King, Leroy Merlin, Metro AG, Euroset, Stutzdama, Sportmaster are provided to Store Eldorado AM. Fedia, Svizno, Komsomol shopping center with Nash hypermarket of Federal Network, 7th Continent, Read, The City, Transport, 50 Yechul, Linus Debota, Rivgosh, Positronica, H&M, Walmart, The Snow Queen, Adidas, Nike, Reebok, Emporio Armani, Zara, 36.6 and many others. Longtime Ramster, Loaf, Spar worked. Planet, a shopping center late evening. In the city, large number of shops of local networks. Predia, Commodore, Fresh Products, Long Loaf, Avenue, Rosa, Indiushkino, nearby, Frascan, 10, Subito, Milano and others. The largest shopping centers, the Planet, entering 10 the most visited in the country and only of those beyond the Urals. June, Trade Quarter on Free, Central Department Store, Komsomol, Sliotka Plaza, Babylon, Mega, Quantum. Krasnoyarsk citizens prefer to spend the money in shops. In 2011, 94.9% of retail turnover were the share of the organizations. The share of sales of goods in the markets made only 5.1%, having lost more than 2 percentage points since a year before last, and with 2008 it is more than 3%. Krasnoyarsk is in the second place in Russia on security with restaurants per capita. Banks. The first tower, the highest building of the city since 2009. The beginning of savings activity in Krasnoyarsk can be carried to 1867 when in the city the first office of National Bank was open.
Actively development of network of savings banks in Krasnoyarsk and in the territory of the region and also in the next Caucasia and Tuva in the 30th years of the 20th century began.
Labor cash desks appeared practically in each city of the region.
It was promoted in no small measure by intensive development of the industry and the agrarian sector which was characteristic of this period.
Savings banks were open not only in all large cities, but also in many settlements and villages. The similar trend remained in eastern Siberia for many years. And today the Savings Bank of Russia possesses the most extensive branch network in Krasnoyarsk Krai. Any other bank working in the region did not ensure so broad presence in the market. Now Sberbank opened in Krasnoyarsk the largest office beyond the Urals. Some of the largest banks of Russia announced restructuring of network. At the same time, for example, the Dent Bank created in Krasnoyarsk basic regional branch in Siberian Federal District. Similar will be created on one in each federal district. Bank, increasing the volume of investment into economy of Siberian Federal District, as the place of dislocation of the representation chose Krasnoyarsk. Education.
One of the body of the Krasnoyarsk State Pedagogical University in the historical building of a female gymnasium.
The Latin school, which opened in 1759, was the first educational institution in the city of Krasnoyarsk. At the beginning of the 21st century, in the territory of Krasnoyarsk, 147 comprehensive schools, at which 124,000 school students studied, were located. Teaching was conducted by more than 8,000 teachers. For 2020 in the city, more than 150,000 students study. In Krasnoyarsk work the Krasnoyarsk Summer School, technical training colleges and technical schools, among which Krasnoyarsk Art School, Krasnoyarsk Choreographic College, Krasnoyarsk Aerotechnical College of Civil Aviation, Krasnoyarsk College of Arts of P. 1. Ivanov Ratkevich. Krasnoyarsk College of Radio Electronics, Economy and Management. Krasnoyarsk College of Radio Electronics and Information Technologies. Krasnoyarsk Technology College. Krasnoyarsk Polytechnical Technical School. Krasnoyarsk Technology Technical School of the Food Industry. Krasnoyarsk Cooperative Technical School of Economy. Commerce and Right. Krasnoyarsk Financial and Economic College. Krasnoyarsk Legal Technical School. Krasnoyarsk Basic Medical College of 5. M. Krutovsky. Krasnoyarsk Medico-Pharmaceutical College. Krasnoyarsk Command River School. Krasnoyarsk Motor Transportation Technical School. Krasnoyarsk Agrarian Technical School. Krasnoyarsk Medical School. Krasnoyarsk Industrial and Metallurgical College. Krasnoyarsk Technical School of Industrial Service. Krasnoyarsk Assembly College. Krasnoyarsk Construction Technical School. Krasnoyarsk Teacher Training College No. 1 of Gorky. Krasnoyarsk Teacher Training College No. 2. Krasnoyarsk Technical School of Railway Transport. Krasnoyarsk Technical School of Space Mechanical Engineering. Krasnoyarsk School of the Olympic Reserve. 29 higher education institutions, among which Siberian Federal University.
Siberian State University of Science and Technologies of a name of the academician M.F.
Rechetniev. Siberian State Institute of Arts of Dmitry Rostovsky. Siberian Legal Institute Sensen of Russia. Siberian GPS Emercom of Russia Rescue and Firefighting Academy. City of Zheleznogorsk. Krasnoyarsk State Medical University of a name of Professor 5. F. Voinoyasenetsky. Krasnoyarsk State Pedagogical University of 5. V. Astafaya. Krasnoyarsk State Agricultural University. Krasnoyarsk Institute of Railway Transport. Krasnoyarsk Institute of the Water Transport. Krasnoyarsk Institute of Social Sciences. Siberian Institute of Business, Management and Psychology. East Siberian Institute of Tourism. In Krasnoyarsk, the office, Urals, Siberia, the Far East, of the Russian Academy of Arts is located. Branches. The Messy Krasnoyarsk branch, Moscow State University of Economy, Statistics and Informatics. Messy. The Krasnoyarsk branch, the University of the Russian Academy of Education. The Krasnoyarsk branch, the Russian State Social University. Krasnoyarsk Institute of Economy of the Street. Petersburg University of Management and Economy. The Krasnoyarsk branch CP Buga, Street. Petersburg State University of Civil Aviation. The Order of the Ministry of Education and Science of the Russian Federation of November 28, 2006 in Krasnoyarsk founded Siberian Federal University, which part the Krasnoyarsk State University, the Krasnoyarsk State Technical University, the Krasnoyarsk State Architectural and Construction Academy,
the State University of Non-Ferrous Metals and Gold, and the Krasnoyarsk State Trade and Economic Institute were. The Siberian State Technology University in 2015 was attached by the order of the Ministry of Education and Science of the Russian Federation to the Siberian State Space University of a name of the academician N.F.
Rechetniev. By merge, the basic higher education institution of the country was formed only in eastern Siberia and in the Far East. The order of the Ministry of Education and Science of the Russian Federation, the Krasnoyarsk State Art Institute.
In 2017 it was included in the structure of the Krasnoyarsk State Institute of Arts as structural division again.
In Krasnoyarsk there is the Krasnoyarsk Scientific Center of the Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Sciences. Scientific institutions. Research establishments of the Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Sciences in the Krasnoyarsk Scientific Center, Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Science. Institute of the Wood of 5 and Sukachwov Pa. Institute of Physics of 50.5 Kerensky Pa. Institute of Computing Modeling of the Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Science. Institute of Biophysics of the Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Science. Institute of Chemistry and Chemical Pa Technology. Scientific Research Institute of Agriculture and Ecology of the Arctic. Institute of Pedagogics and Psychology of Development from Russian Joint Stock Company. Special Designing and Technological Bureau Nauka, Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Science. Research Institute of Livestock Production. Separate division of Fitsnot, Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Science. Research establishments of other departments. Anya Krasnoyarsk City Innovation and Technology Business Incubator. Institute of Medical Problems of the North with the Russian Academy of Medical Science. Research Institute of Agriculture of Russian Academy of Agrarian Sciences. Research Institute of Geology and Geophysics. Research Institute of Ecology of Fishery Reservoirs. Siberian Research and Design Institute of Non-Ferrous Metallurgy. Krasnoyarsk Regional Fund of Support of Scientific and Technical Activity. PI Elektroprojekt. KISS Company Elektroprojekt Sibir. Postsitzt Informatika. KDD Geophysica. Almatsalatomatika. Krasnoyarsk etc. Healthcare. On September 26, 1886 in Krasnoyarsk, Society of Doctors of the Yenisei province was created. Society opened clinics, drugstore, obstetric and medical assistance school, conducted researches, organized congresses of doctors.
Now research work in the field of healthcare in Krasnoyarsk is conducted by Scientific Research Institute of Medical Problems of the North of Olaradapam.
The direct help to patients is rendered by clinics of this institute and also Federal State Budgetary Institution, Federal Center of Cardiovascular Surgery. The Ministry of Health and Social Development of the Russian Federation accepts patients on federal quotas. The Siberian Clinical Center of Federal Medical Biological Agency of the Russian Federation accepts patients on federal quotas. Center of Nuclear Medicine of the Siberian Clinical Center of Federal Medical Biological Agency of the Russian Federation, largest in Russia. Center of the Positron and Issue Tomography PIT of the Siberian Clinical Center of Federal Medical Biological Agency of the Russian Federation, largest in Siberia. International Institute of Biological Systems of S. Berezina Medical and Diagnostic Center. The Krasnoyarsk Inner Regional Center of Microsurgery of an IFP, Chi. Makarov Regional Ophthalmologic Clinical Hospital. Accepts patients on federal quotas. The Regional Clinical Hospital performs operations on organ transplantation. Street Petersburg Scientific Research Institute of an Ear, Throat, Nose and Speech of the Russian Ministry of Health, Krasnoyarsk branch.
The Krasnoyarsk Regional Clinical Oncological Clinic of A. 1. Krasnoyarsk Regional Children's Clinical Hospital. Clinical Hospital No. 20 of IS. Wierzyn. City Hospital No. 3. City Hospital No. 5. Clinical Hospital No. 7. City Clinical Hospital of Emergency Medical Service of NS. Karpovich. City Clinical Hospital No. 4. Krasnoyarsk Inter-District Children's Clinical Hospital No. 1. Children's Hospital No. 4 accepts patients on federal quotas. Clinics of the Medical University. Regional Children's Ophthalmologic Hospital. Regional Hospital No. 2. Regional Burn Center. Regional Antitubercular Clinic. City Antitubercular Clinic. Regional Narcological Clinic. Regional Psychoneurological Clinic. Regional Medical and Sports Clinic. Krasnoyarsk Regional Center of Blood. The Krasnoyarsk Regional Center for Fight about AIDS and Infectious Diseases. The Krasnoyarsk Regional Perinatal Center, the largest in Siberia. Clinic of Medical Visualization of Baiki Physician. The developed network of district clinics and day hospitals. Federal State Budgetary Institution, Information and Methodical Center for Examination, Accounting and Analysis of the Address of Means of Medical Application, of Rostravnitsa in Siberian Federal District. It is also located in Krasnoyarsk. Transport of Krasnoyarsk. Main item. Transport of Krasnoyarsk. Krasnoyarsk, the large transit hub of eastern Siberia located on crossing of the Trans-Siberian Railway and historically developed tradeways across Yenisei. Bridges. Within the city 6 transport bridges through Yenisei. From the west on the east. Nikolaevsky Bridge, Railway, 2 railway bridges of the Trans-Siberian Railway, nearby, Municipal, October, Kharkinsky Bridge. The Bridge 777. Combined automobile and railway. Further in close proximity to border of the city there is an automobile bridge through Yenisei connecting a transport round around Krasnoyarsk. On Tatashev the island conducts cable stayed pedestrian. Vinogradovsky Bridge. Bridge. First bridge through Karcha was built in 1780, but demolished by a high water. On January 26, 1838 the Governor-General 5.1. Kopelev made the decision on construction of the bridge through Karcha. Preparatory work on the choice of the place and drawing up the project were charged to the Yenisei Provincial Architect A. 1. Polyakov. On November 18, 1843 in the presence of a large number of inhabitants the first bridge through Karcha was accepted by the mayor as Ya. Kuznetsov in operation. In pre-revolutionary Krasnoyarsk 2-year through Karcha bridges were built. Lower Kachinsky. Zakansky. Nowadays around the Arrow. Is constructed in 1873, destroyed by an ice jam in 1941. Hilkov. Sky. Pokrovsky. On Pokrovsky Lane. Nowadays Surikov Street. Is constructed in 1842, in 1884 is built up anew. Radekin, on Pokhtamsky Lane. Nowadays Paranson Street. Is constructed in 1895. Udinsky, on Sadovy Lane. Nowadays Oborony Street. Podolkin, on Podolkin Lane. Nowadays Dictature Proletariata Street. Also there were bridges on Gymnasia. Nowadays Weinbaum Street. And theatrical 2 lanes. Through Kocha within the city 31 bridge and a bridge, both automobile and pedestrian are thrown now. There are also bridges through inflow of Kocha the Bugok River, through the Bazalka and Lalatina rivers, through the Silver Stream. Railway. Through the city there passes the Trans-Siberian Railway, railway communication Abakan, Tashit, Achinsk, Abakan, Krasnoyarsk, Bogachana, Achinsk, Lesosibirsk is performed. The Krasnoyarsk Railroad transports 3.2 million passengers in the distant message and 13.3 million in suburban. Automobile. Through Krasnoyarsk there passes highway Siberia of P.M. Novosibirsk, Krasnoyarsk, Irkutsk, Moscow, which is a part of a route Vladivostok. Routes begin. Yenisei of M. Krasnoyarsk, Abakan, Kyzyl frontier. Going to Mongolia. Sagantolga. And the Yenisei path of P. Krasnoyarsk, Lesosibirsk, Yeniseisk. Water. Across Yenisei passenger ships go to Agarka, Dudinka, Divnogorsk. The Yenisei River steamship lines in 2005 transported 3.3 million tons of freights and about 140,000 people. The building of the Krasnoyarsk River Station, 1948-1952, is a monument of architecture. Air. The Yenisei Joint Avia Group was organized in 1928. The first Krasnoyarsk airport, Gidroport, was located on the island of Molokova. Exactly from their flights to the Arctic were carried out. The second airport, which received shortly before closing a name Krasnoyarsk Northern, was located in 4 kilometers from the downtown of the time. It was one of Airway Nots Alsib on which deliveries on a Lend-Lease were performed during World War II. Air terminal of the Krasnoyarsk Northern Airport, later bus station. The extending city absorbed the airport closed in 1988. Now residential quarters, and on the place of runways, streets are at its place. Location of the former Krasnoyarsk Airport on the modern map of the city. International Airport Krasnoyarsk. Yemelinovo. In Krasnoyarsk there are 2 airports. The Krasnoyarsk Airport, largest in eastern Siberia, performing both passenger and freight transportation on international and Russian airlines, and the airport of local airlines Cheremshanka. At the Cheremshanka Airport also Ministry of Emergency Situations and Municipal Department of Internal Affairs air bases are located. A runway of Yemelinovo Airport, the first of 3 in Russia beyond the Urals, corresponding to the 2 category of ICA.
From 1997 to 2006, airlines of various countries executed more than 750 flights on cross-polar routes. In 2008, the frequency of flights on cross-polar routes grew to 400 flights a month. Opening of the airport for foreign carriers by the principle of the open sky is planned.
Now in the project for development of a cargo complex of the Krasnoyarsk airport, Yemelyanov partners invested more than 750 million rubles. It is expected that cargo infrastructure at the Yemelyanov and Sheremetyevo airports will turn into management of one company, Interport.
It is created by the Moscow Kratos Group and Interrose Holding. In February 2012, preparatory work on construction of the terminal began. Was going to finish works in 2016.
In October 2012, the specialists of Hochtief Airport, NL Spectrum Holding and Architectural Bureau, Hinton Associates, designing the new passenger terminal at the Krasnoyarsk Airport, reported to the management of the airport the project documentation info.
In October 2012 at Yemelyanov Airport, the polluter Mormony passenger was registered. In total in 2012 the passenger traffic made 1,900,000 passengers. In 2013 the airport served more than 2 million passengers.
In February 2013 at the 10th Krasnoyarsk Economic Forum, agreements on development of the Customs and Logistics Center at the airport of Krasnoyarsk and about development of the International Passenger and Cargo Hub at the airport were signed. Construction of the railroad from the Bugok station to the airport for the organization of the movement of passenger trains for the principle of Aero Express train is in the long term possible.
Now on the existing road from the station Kocha only freight transportation is carried out. In Krasnoyarsk, in addition to Yemelyanov and Cheremshanki, there is also private airfield Krasnoyarsk Northern, having one asphalt concrete runway of 1,000 meters. Besides, in the city there are 3 soil airfields of the 4 class. Private in the solar residential massif. 3 private and -2 planes are based. Private on the Kuznetsovsky Plateau, at once abroad the cities. Former airfield of Dosov/Rostov. The educational and training Yak -52 planes, the Mi-2 helicopter are based. Airfield of Rostov-Mansky near the village of Shilinsky, in 90 kilometers from Krasnoyarsk. 3 and -2 planes. City transport. The first stagecoaches appeared in Krasnoyarsk in 1896. In 1897 in the city there were 205 carriers. In 1912, 335 automobile, 112 vodovozny and 242 dray. Cargo. Near the bridge under construction through Yenisei there was the whole town. Dining rooms, bakeries, shops with edibles, dealers with meat, and in recent days also 2 grocery stores. The movement became so strengthened that the stagecoach several times in day, the Yenisei newspaper, 1896 goes.
The regular bus movement in the city was organized in 1934 along a route the railway station, Krasnoyarsk Square.
In 1935 the first trams went on steam draft.
In 1959 on Stalin Avenue from the railway station to Krasnoyarsk where the trolleybus began to go.
In T-82 cars opened the movement. Main type of city transport, the bus. On stock there is 1,191 bus of 76 bus routes, both city, municipal, and commercial carriers. In a total amount of transportations, public transport occupies 30% now. Also 6 trolleybus and 4 tram routes work in the city. Now tram lines are only in a right bank part of the city. The movement is monitored on the satellite GLONASS system. Daily. On weekdays. In public transport of the city about 1 million passengers are transported. In a stage of development there is a project of creation of the high-speed tram. The Krasnoyarsk trolleybus against the background of Yenisei. 2020. Updating of the rolling stock of city transport. Trolleybuses and high-capacity buses of generally import production, including commercial carriers, is conducted. At the same time buses of small capacity are gradually taken out of service. For the last 5 years the city purchased 355 high-capacity buses. In 2011 the Minsk automobile plant performed delivery of 75 more MOZ-103.476 buses, and the Belkomsh plant, 20 AXM-321 trolleybuses with asynchronous engines. In the next years it is going to bring the number of the rolling stock of city, municipal, passenger transport to 50% from dichotomy on the line, and it will be preferred as electric transport. Feature of the organization of city passenger traffic is the total absence of the share taxis which are available in the majority of the Russian cities. Passengers are transported only by high-capacity buses, MOZ-103 and its modifications, MOZ-203, MOZ-206, Liez-5256, Liez-5293, the native of the Volga region Satyrik, Mercedes-Benz O and its modifications, MAN N, Mars-42191, POZ-4234, Higer Klek Gs, Nefaz-5299 and others.
At the same time, extensive increase in number of city buses and partly trolleybuses does not solve transport and infrastructure in general problems at all.
Payment for travel by city transport. The bus, the trolleybus, the tram can be made by means of the electronic card. In a year more than 10 million passengers paid off with the electronic card. Preferential categories of passengers have the so-called social electronic card. It can use also in commercial transport. At the system of city transport there is a city electric train. Now the city electric train transports passengers along a limited route. Yenisei provincial sheets. July 22, 1889. Krasnoyarsk Literary Museum. In 1957 the television tower was constructed, the operational collective is organized, the Krasnoyarsk studio of television is created. In Krasnoyarsk the television center in Siberia appeared the second ambassador Tomsk. The same year there was the first telecast of the Krasnoyarsk television center. A known Krasnoyarsk TV companies, State TV and Radio Broadcasting Company Krasnoyarsk, Yenisei, Afantovo, the 7th Canal Krasnoyarsk, TEK, Prima, the 12th channel, Center Krasnoyarsk, and the 8th channel Krasnoyarsk Krai.
In 1980, the decision on design and construction of a television reinforced concrete tower 241 meter high on the Nikolov Hill in Krasnoyarsk with a mark over the level of Yenisei 500 meters was made.
In 1987 the works on design of an object were completed, and next year its construction began. Preparatory amounts of works were executed and the way about a kilometer long to the site of a tower is paved. However, in 1990, in communication by lack of financing, construction of a reinforced concrete television tower on the Nikolov Hill was suspended. In 1999 in Krasnoyarsk there began work the Siberia's first press lane news agency. In 2005 the agreement on development and modernization of networks of television, broadcasting and communication in Krasnoyarsk Krai was signed.
According to it, the reinforced concrete tower on the Nikolov Hill had to appear in 2008.
In 2013 in the territory of the transferring satellite center of orbit, through the translation of broadcasting to a digital format without coordination with urbanists, some specialists and the public, the television tower of the outdated, though partially upgraded project of 3803 km 199.4 meters high was unexpectedly constructed. The main reason stated the Krasnoyarsk State TV and Radio Broadcasting Company, which caused such very strange choice of the location of a tower, first of all economic purposes. The satellite center has an established infrastructure. Now in the city transfer of the first and second multiplexes of digital TV of TVFT standard, only 20 channels is performed. The first issue of the newspaper the Yenisei Provincial Sheets appeared on July 2, 1857. In 1889 the first private newspaper, Spravotny Listik Eniskoye Gubernayi, began to be issued. Now the oldest of the existing newspapers, Krasnoyarsk Worker, is published since December 10, 1905. In honor of the newspaper, the main street of a right bank, the avenue of the Krasnoyarsky Rabiki newspaper, is called. Broadcasting in Krasnoyarsk began in February 1928. Since 2004 on the central city streets began to broadcast street radio. On April 16, 2012 wire radio stopped the broadcasting in some districts of the city. Now in Krasnoyarsk 29 broadcasting radio stations. The Krasnoyarsk's first cable station began work on November 18, 1863. Before on delivery of mail in the European part of Russia 2-3 weeks were required. The first phone in the city appeared in 1893 in the house of the merchant of the first guild N.G. Gad. Fishing. The first city telephone exchange began to work for 50 numbers in Krasnoyarsk in 1896. On September 6, 2008 the telephone network of Krasnoyarsk is transferred to 7-digit numbering. The first figures of landline numbers, 2 and 9. In June in Krasnoyarsk the flagman sales office and service of subscribers Rostelecom, the Siberian Federal Districts 1st and 4th in the territory of Russia was opened. Services of the fixed, stationary, telephone communication in Krasnoyarsk are provided by more than 30 operators, the largest of whom Rostelecom, Belin, Saints Sovintel, Air Telecom, Tankt, Spark, Mobile and Forte Intertax. Services of cellular communication in the city are provided by 4 operators:
Beeling, Megafon, Mints and Tally.
In 2014 the ET company was abolished. In the city about 50 internet service providers, the largest of them:
Haus Telecom, Haus, Wu, Tankt, Beeling, Game Service, Telecoma, Multima, Axioma, 4Line, Siberianet, Orion Telecom.
In Krasnoyarsk more than 100 points of free Wi-Fi work in public places.
My day of 385-year anniversary of Krasnoyarsk, not less than 385 points of connection are going to expand with public Wi-Fi coverage considerably.
Further, it is going to increase quantity of points of connection to 10,000, having covered all city streets. It is going to be made by 2019, carrying out in the city of the World Winter Universiade. Sport. The first in Krasnoyarsk in 1911 created gymnastic society, Sokol. In August 1912 the first football competitions were held.
Now in the territory of Krasnoyarsk are located
3 sports palaces, 15 stadiums, 11 swimming pools, 208 gyms, 46 skiing lodges, ski jump complex, among which the biggest in Russia, 100 meter. In Krasnoyarsk in 1974 the winter sports contest of the people of Rusfors was held. In 1982 and 1986 winter sports contests of the people CCC were held. In 1996 the World Cup in Speedway, in 1997 the Freestyle Wrestling World Cup, in 2007 the World Cup on Freestyle and Female Wrestling, the Championships of Russia on Chess in 2003 and 2007. The past Russian Cup stages on a cycle trial of 2011 and 2012. In the city there takes place the International Freestyle Wrestling Tournament on the prizes Buvasara Sativa, the International Tournament on Freestyle Wrestling of the Grand Prix, Ivan Yeragin.
The International Qualification Tournament on Sports Ballroom Dances, Fires of the Big City, the only thing beyond the Urals an event of dance sport of such level is annually held now. In November 2013 in Krasnoyarsk there took place the 49th Bowling World Cup.
In the 21st century in Krasnoyarsk, the large center of students and winter sports, the initiative of holding the Russia's first Winter Universiade was announced and supported by the federal authorities. Krasnoyarsk is considered the unofficial capital of the Russian rugby. In the city 2 professional clubs acting in the Russian Rugby Premier League are based. Red Yar and Yenisei Saint, each of which many times became the champion of Russia. Red Yar became the champion in 1990, 1991, 1994, 1998.200, 2001, 2013, 2015. Yenisei Saint in 1999, 2002, 2005, 2011, 2012, 2014. Russian national team quite often plays the matches in Krasnoyarsk. The Eurocup match, the first in the history of the Russian rugby, was played in Krasnoyarsk too. In the European Rugby Cup of the Challenge in November 2015 Yenisei Saint accepted the Irish Connacht. Also in Krasnoyarsk there is a number of amateur, college and veteran teams.
In the first draw of the All-Russian Amateur Federal League in 2013 clubs from Krasnoyarsk became the winner and the silver prize winner. An April 2019 opening of the reconstructed Avangard Stadium, which became the Russia's first rugby stadium with the game field conforming to standards of the International Council of Rugby.
World Rugby took place. After modernization, the sports complex acquired the status of the regional center for rugby. The Krasnoyarsk club owned by the Yenisei 14 times became the champion of the USSR and Russia. 1980, 1989, 1991, 2001, 2014, 2015, 2016. Won a Command World Cup 3 times. 1982, 1984, 2011. In Krasnoyarsk are developed. These sources not specified: 447 days rock climbing, freestyle wrestling, rugby, bandy, mountaineering, speleology, skiing, biathlon, powerlifting, paraplanerism, snow kiting, aeronautics, gymnastics, sports dances and other sports. Gradually, thanks to enthusiasts, the amateur ice hockey begins to develop. Sports constructions of Krasnoyarsk. Central Stadium. Project Sassel. The architect of Verse 5. V. Orakov. The largest stadium beyond the Urals, Yenisei Stadium, Avangard Stadium, Red Yar Stadium, Sports Palace of Ivan Yeragin, Ice Arena, Arena North, Academy of Biathlon, the Palace of Extreme Sports, Sportex, the Alpine Skiing Complex, Beaver Ravine, the Alpine Skiing Kashtag Complex, the Alpine Skiing Complex, Nikolaev Hill, Ski Stadium, Vetluhanka, Biathlon Stadium, Dynamo. The Race Circuit, Red Ring. Russian Orthodox Church. The Krasnoyarsk Metropolitanate includes Krasnoyarsk, Yenisei, Luhansk, Minnesinsk and Norilsk dioceses. The ruling bishop, the Metropolitan of Krasnoyarsk and Achinsk Panilaman. Krasnoyarsk, among the few cities of Russia where Blessed Virgin Mary's belt found a temporary haven. The Cathedral of the Krasnoyarsk Metropolitanate, Pokrovsky Cathedral. There are also a Cathedral of Christmas, Annunciation Cathedral of the Blagovensk Convent, the Temple of the Dormition of the Theotokos of Sacred and Uspensky Monastery, Trinity Cathedral, Annunciation Church, other temples. It is going to restore Cathedral of the Nativity of the Virgin. Catholic Church. Receipts of Lord's Transformation and Holy Family. Armenian Apostolic Church. St. Sarkis Church, Serb-Russian Church. Church of Evangelical Baptist Christians. Uniform Spiritual Administration of Muslims of Krasnoyarsk Krai. Cathedral Mosque of Krasnoyarsk. The majority of stone temples of Krasnoyarsk are lost. Resurrection Cathedral, Cathedral of the Nativity of the Virgin, Viksvyatsky Temple and others. Cemeteries. The largest of the remained old cemeteries in Krasnoyarsk, Troitsks. Now burials on it carry out only to related graves. The Troitsks necropolis in December 2019 is included in the Register of Objects of Cultural Heritage. There is a Nikolsky, Nikolaev Cemetery. Viksvyatsky, Pokrovsk, Voskresensky cemeteries are lost. The largest of modern cemeteries of Krasnoyarsk, Badalik for burials is closed now. Only subburials in related graves and on military sites are possible. Burials make at Tyre, Bazayski, Torbishinsky, Zlebinsky, Ovsinkinsky, Armenian, Jewish, Muslim cemeteries. Armenian, Jewish, Muslim cemeteries. Building of administration of Krasnoyarsk Krai. The fire of 1773 destroyed the Krasnoyarsk jail and practically all city. After the fire there were only 30 houses.
From Tobolsk, the sergeant of geodesy Piet Moiseev, who gave to the city linear planning of the street.
Petersburg type was sent. Streets of Krasnoyarsk were direct and equal, are focused on parts of the world. With streets were laid parallel to Yenisei from the west on the east, from the old market close to Resurrection Cathedral near the place of confluence of Yenisei and Kacha, towards the Nikolov mountain. Meridional streets. They were referred to as lanes. Went north from the south, from Yenisei towards the Pokrovsk mountain. They were under construction perpendicular to width streets and stopped them under right angles. Quarters were approximately identical by the size and had the correct geometrical forms. Streets dispersed from the areas and met two squares, and at these open, from a distance the visible areas large public buildings towered. In the middle of the 1820th years in Bureau under supervision of the architect William Jest, the perspective master plan of the city was developed. Implementation of this project only in insignificant degree affected historically developed part of the city. In the center alignment of red lines and integration of quarters was undertaken. Every 4 adjacent were united quarter in one.
The development of the diverged decade of the one diverged century, the shape of a historical part of the city considerably changed and partially suffered from dense uncontrolled, pointed building by the numerous office and residential buildings which are not approved with each other aesthetically and not components of a uniform architectural ensemble that was always in trend.
Also intensive residential construction in a number of residential districts on the outskirts and overload of the central business part of the city, shopping malls and business centers. Construction big and 2 internal transport rings of the city is conducted. According to many in Krasnoyarsk, as well as in other large cities, it is necessary to approach very seriously a question of the transport organization with consolidation of a grid of public transport, release of the maximum space for pedestrians and cyclists and decrease in use of cars. Now the plan for building of the historic center of Krasnoyarsk is approved. On the state protection in Krasnoyarsk 274 objects of cultural heritage, from them 26, federal importance, 156, regional, 6 local municipal value are delivered. The city is divided into 2 parts by Yenisei. Its left bank part is in western Siberia, right bank in east. At the same time the city is carried by economic geographers to eastern Siberia. Krasnoyarsk columns, the hallmark of the city, it is nominated for a rank of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Paraskiva Pietnitsa Chapel, a symbol of Krasnoyarsk, a monument of architecture and history. It is represented on the 10-ruble note of Russia.
Железнодорожный bridge through Yenisei. In 1900 this construction along with the Eiffel Tower was awarded the Grand Prix and a gold medal of the World Fair in Paris, for architectural perfection and great workmanship.
The Krasnoyarsk GES, now the second most powerful hydroelectric power station, after Siano-Shushenskaya, in Russia, is located in the suburb of Krasnoyarsk-Divnogorsk. Communalny bridge through Yenisei. It is handed over in 1961. Is represented on the 10 ruble note. Awarded medals of the World Fair in Brussels. The Central Stadium, 1967. Is known around the world. The owner of numerous awards is officially recognized by one of the best works of the Soviet architecture. The first tower, the highest building beyond the Urals. The Troitsk Cemetery, the oldest. From remained. In Krasnoyarsk. The Black Hill, an extinct volcano, is in Berezovsky district of Krasnoyarsk Krai, in close proximity to Krasnoyarsk. Large number of fountains. More than 200. And sculptural compositions. The Rysvos first children's railroad is opened in 1936 in Recreation Park of M. Gorky. Daily at 12 o'clock on the guard mountain the gun shoots. Tap water in Krasnoyarsk, one of the best in the country. Several years in a row it received the highest marks. Silver and gold medals. To the enterprise the certificate was issued that water from water intakes is suitable for commercial bottling without any water treatment. Parks and squares. The Central Park is founded in 1828. The site long since of the pinery growing on this place is taken as a basis. The Park of Flora and Fauna swarms a stream, one of the largest zoos of Russia. In the Royevy stream, the most considerable is provided by number of types, a collection among zoos of the Urals, Siberia and the Far East, and the second in number of types after Moscow Zoo now. One of giraffes of a collection of a zoo. Swarms the stream can be considered the predecessor of a zoo, the so-called Nature Corner, created in 1947 in the tourist and excursion area of the Krasnoyarsk Reserve, columns. More than 4,660 representatives of fauna of 709 types nowadays live in a zoo. In the Royevy stream, the only collection of mammals in Siberia and birds from Africa, giraffes, white lions, zebras, oryx, a gnu, suricate, a chimpanzee, penguins. One of the aquatoriums, largest in Russia, enters a complex of a zoo. Total area it's 4,000 m. The area of exposures minus 1.5 thousand m. The pool for sharks contains 30 tons of seawater. The total amount of water of aquariums and terrariums of a construction minus 150 tons. The largest in Russia is constructed in the Pingvinary, only beyond the Urals, having 2 pools on 30 cubic meters of water. Town Park, the Beaver Ravine, the largest alpine skiing and recreational complex beyond the Urals, located within the city of Krasnoyarsk in spurs of East Sion Mountains, on northwest slopes of Kazumsky Mountains. The area of the complex is 80 hectares. Parks, Gagarinsky, Youth, Guards, Sibstal, Troy, a name of Gagarin, a name on May 1, a name of the 400th anniversary of Krasnoyarsk. Is under construction. 3 Nursery of Institute of the Wood of the Siberian branch of the Russian Academy of Science of Sukhachwov. Campus. A botanical garden of Kratovsky Siberian State Technology University. Yudinsky Garden. Squares, a name of Pushkin, a name of 5. 1. Syrikov, a name of Chernyshevsky, astronauts, Kornatovsky, Arten, Pokrovsky, winners, Panyukovsky, silver, youth, family, solo, builders, at the Palace of Work and Consent, Cherymushki, school, enthusiasts, ship's boy, the zoological successful park and others. Manchurian nut in one of the yards of Krasnoyarsk.
In the city and landings use a linden fine-leaved, moxberg cherry, an ash tree ordinary, an elm stalky, a chestnut, a poplar silvery, to a carrigan tree like, a poplar pyramidal, a birch, manchersky nut, a larch, a pine, a fir tree, a mountain ash, a maple tatter, a maple acutifoliate, Ginnell's maple, parashuris, a barberry myrrh, a lilac Hungarian, a willow, a hawthorn.
An oak now.
Landings of former years of a poplar most widespread earlier black are actively liquidated now.
In Krasnoyarsk to a lesser extent in landings use a maple American, a kiselnik, an apricot, almonds, a tuyu, a willow Babylon, currant and a myrcork tree, a rose dog, cherry felt. Monuments. The first Krasnoyarsk monument can be considered the granite monument on N.P. Rezanov's grave constructed on August 16, 1831 at the expense of the Russian-American Company. In the 1920th years Vevebuch's monument was on Lasnaya Square.
In 1926 at Revolution Square the monument to 5.1.
Lenin cast at the Leningrad plant, Red Resident of Vyborg, was established. Authors of a monument. Sculptor S.D. Merkelov, Architect 50. A. Chernyshov. In 1970 at the request of Executive Committee of Leninsky District the monument was transferred to Leninsky District.
Now it is in the small square between houses 72A and 74A according to the avenue of a name of the Krasnoyarsk Rabiki newspaper.
Numerous sculptures also belong to sites of Krasnoyarsk. Monument to Alexander Pushkin and Natalia Goncharova on Mira Avenue. Column with a lion symbol of the city at Provoxelnaya Square. Sculptor A. Tkakyuk. Rivers of Siberia. Author of the Project A. Demirkanov, Sculptors K. Zinich 5. Myslav A. Nechparchik and A. Heinitson 2006. Theatre Square. Apollo, the patron of arts. Sculptor A. Tkakyuk. Theatre Square. The Running Bow. Childhood. The Sculptor K. Zinich, the Architect A. Kasatkin 2001. The Avenue de Krasnoyarsk Worker. Street. Petersburg Bridge. Architect by Kuznetsova. Mira Avenue. Stealing of Europe. Sculptor A. Tkakyuk, Architect 5. Osmashin. Fredmostnaya Square. Triumphal Arch. Architect A. Demirkanov. Area of the world. Goddess of Justice Themis. Sculptor A. Tkakyuk 2004. Pravosudya Square. Adam and Eve. It is better known as Valentin and Valentina the Sculptor K. Zinich 1999. Mira Avenue. Steel in the Park Guards. Steel at Red Square. Nade-21 F-Plane, Metallurgov Avenue, 38.
Carrier Rocket Space Kotelnikov Square.
Engine, Krasnoyarsk Passenger Station. Alexander Pushkin and Natalia Goncharova. Sculptor K. Zinich, Architect A. Demirkanov, 2008. Mira Avenue. The Harlequin and Columbina, the area at Youth Theatre. Sculptor A. Tkakyuk. Bremen Town Musicians. Sculptor A. Tkakyuk, 2006. Avenue Krasnoyarsk Worker. To the bricklayer in the square of builders on Bacharina Street. 1. The man with a doggy. The sculptor N. Zinich, 2005. Vlublyanek Square. White Horse. The sculptor E. Pashenko, 2006. Ensemble on the Shooter. To the janitor Petron. Sculptor A. Heinitsen, 2010. Metallurgov Avenue. To the photographer. Sculptor A. Heinitsen, 2003. Mira Avenue. The Uncle Jasha and the trainee. Workers of a water utility. The sculptor A. Heinitsen, 2003. At the Vodokanal building. Steel cranes. Architect A. Kasatkin, Sculptor K. Zinich. Square, Svobodny Avenue. To the teacher, Central Park. Sculptor K. Zinich. To the 10-ruble note. Sculptor A. Tkakyuk. Molokov Avenue, 7. The Clown, the Avenue de Krasnoyarsk Worker, at Circus. Sculptors A. Tkakyuk T. Kuzmina. Muse Avenue Krasnoyarsk Worker, 70, Body A. To the designer, Respubliki Street. 51. To the furniture maker, Avenue Krasnoyarsk Worker, 160. Cranes in the square on the Avenue de Krasnoyarsk Worker. Cranes in the square on Yastinskaya Street. Fountain spheres, Mira Avenue. Area of lovers. Museums. On the amount of museum fund, Krasnoyarsk Krai is included into 10 territorial subjects of the Russian Federation today and wins first place in Siberian Federal District. In museum fund of edge, more than 1.3 million storage units, is the largest museum meeting beyond the Urals. Bo. Is she part? It is exhibited or stored in Krasnoyarsk. The Krasnoyarsk Museum of Local Lore. Dobrovinsky Street. 84. Was opened 12 on February 25, 1889. Nowadays, one of the largest museums of local lore in Russia. Has several branches: Hyatt Krosikov's House Museum, Gennady Yudin's Museum Library and Drive. Further expansion of exhibition areas of the museum is planned.
Several Krasnoyarsk museums are connected with the great Russian artist 5.1.
Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. all of good mood and good luck.